While your children have time off of school for the holidays, this opens up the opportunity to have those tough conversations with them, like a discussion about bullying. So here are some tips on how you can lead that conversation. Is the co-founder of Global Game Changers, Jan Helson. So good to have you.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We hear about bullying so much, virtually, in person. How do we even know what bullying is? I feel like it's so, that word is thrown around a lot.
Yeah, great question. So the types of bullying are expanding. So, I think the first thing to do is to identify what those different types are. There are physical bullying, there is verbal bullying, then there is social bullying, where a child is made to feel like an outcast, that they're not included. And then there's cyberbullying today too. And so that has become very prevalent, and it's a place where a bully gains even a little more confidence in what they're doing because they can hide behind that screen.
Yeah.
So it's really important for a parent and a teacher to identify those types of bullying.
We see a lot of that, not just with children. We see that with adults as well, with the cyberbullying. How do we help our children? What's another tip for that?
So you kind of led into this. One of the things is that you have to be a good role model. So one of the most important things that can happen for a child is for them to have a good role model in their lives, whether it's their parent, obviously, hopefully, their teachers as well, and just the other adults in their lives. So it's important that they look for and you are good role models in their lives.
I have 2 teenage girls, and so we've seen a lot of that, and especially during the pandemic when everything was virtual, it was a lot easier. We seem to see a lot more of the bullying. So what we didn't realize is that there's a lot of great resources out there for not just us as parents, but for the kids as well, right?
There are. So there are a lot of great resources for teachers and parents to go to. Jalen's Challenge is one of those. He's a young man who was bullied as a child. He has Tourette's syndrome. And so the bully really looks for somebody that they can see as somebody that they perceive them as being weaker than they are. And in this instance, Jalen had those, not only didn't have the confidence to step up and be who he should be, but also had Tourette's syndrome, so they made fun of him. So he was easy to pick on. And it ultimately led him to leave school and have to deal with things. But it also instilled in him the ability to have to make a decision in his life, to get the confidences, which is essentially a social emotional learning skill, to say, I can overcome this and I can make a difference. So he ended up helping teachers and parents understand. So he speaks to kids around the country currently, and in Global Game Changers, he's built into our curriculum for our bullying badge. So we are essentially a leadership-focused social emotional learning program that uses an equation: my talent plus my heart equals my superpower. And so one of those heart causes is bullying prevention. And so it's one of our most important that kids get really engaged in. Another tip is communication. You have to be able to communicate with your children, and you have to look for those signs. And the child has to be comfortable coming to you. And so that starts early in life.
Right.
But it's never too late to try to build those bridges. And so I think it's really important for parents to always have a heightened awareness of those and changes in their children's lives.
Well, and I think that's what's great with what you all do is we as parents don't have to shoulder this burden ourselves. We can be educated by you, by your programs, and then it's a place for our kids to be educated. Like, there's help.
Yeah,
we need to ask for help.
There is, exactly. and parents and teachers need to look at this as a partnership. They need to communicate, and parents don't need to feel like they have to burden it alone, and they need to understand that teachers have skills that help navigate these waters as well, and that they see this happen in a different space than what parents might be able to see. So that's a really important thing. So I think that it's important for them to work together and to both use tools. For instance, again, with Global Game Changers, our resources are free for parents and teachers because we're funded through a grant through the Novak Family Foundation. So that gives these resources to parents that may not otherwise have access to them. And then teachers are using the same tools and resources so that there's consistency in how you're approaching the subject, which is really important.
Before I let you go, where do we go to find those resources, learn more about you guys?
globalgamechangers.org. There's all kinds of free resources. Sign up, happy to use them, and we're just glad to be able to get the word out.
Yeah, and glad that you were there to help us and our kids and our teachers as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.